Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Hakim bin Hatta and I'm from Group 4, Team Group 4. This is the assignment for critical thinking where we need to do a video about our topic, which is the first one is lateral thinking by Dr. Edward De Bono, which I will present, and also Natasha Laili. The second one is Chord 1 Thinking Tools, which will be presented by Azmirah and also Farah Zulaiha. And the third one is the Thinking Hats, will be presented by Billy Linjao and also Ahmad Shakir. Okay, for for the first one, lateral thinking by Dr. Edward De Bono. First, I will explain a little bit biography about Dr. Edward De Bono. His real name is Edward Charles Francis Publius De Bono. He is a physician, psychologist, author, inventor, and also a consultant. He is nominated for the Nobel Prize for Economics in 2005, and he is one of the pioneers of the brain training. In 1967, he invented the world famous lateral thinking technique, and also equally renowned for six thinking hats and direct attention thinking tools. Concept of lateral thinking is now part of a language and is listed in the English Dictionary. He also was a Rhodes Scholarship student at Oxford. He got a master's degree in psychology and also physiology from Oxford. And then he got a Doctor of Philosophy and also PhD in medicine from Cambridge. He write 70 books with translation into 38 languages and been invited to lecture in 57 countries. He also was chosen by a group of academics as one of the 250 people who contribute most to the humanity in history of human race. So, Dr. Edward Bono is a very interesting guy. Now I'm going to lateral thinking. First, let me ask you this question. How do you put on your clothes every morning? Because if a person wanted to put on 11 pieces of clothing in a different order each time, they have 39,916,800 different possible combination. If they would spend 1 minute putting in each combination, it will take them 76 years to try each possibility. The second question, what bread do you buy? Because every day people are faced with tons of choice, tons of information. For example, when someone goes to buy a loaf of bread, they are faced with a lot of possibilities. They can choose between white or wet wheat bread, sliced or not, French bread, Italian bread, or hundreds of others bread. Our brains are used to quickly narrowing down alternatives. The decision is usually quick and painless, but for someone that has never encountered such a situation before, someone that the first time, they will be unprepared to deal with the many options the first time. So, are humans naturally creative? No. The self-organizing system of the brain guide humans along well-established trains of thought. So humans are not naturally creative. It is easy for people to think of ideas and solutions that already exist, but completely new innovation and direction is not easy for people to think. In this highly competitive world, people need proven, risk-averse method of generating innovation. To generate innovation, we need ideas. We need to be creative, but the market doesn't wait for ideas to drop from the sky, like the apple dropped in the Newton's head. So, Edward De Bono's lateral thinking methodologies fill that need. It is a fast track to creativity, as I mentioned in the book. Using lateral thinking, it allows individuals and organizations to generate new ideas deliberately and purposely. As a result, creativity can now be used to achieve competitive advantages in an increasingly global marketplace. Lateral thinking is a philosophical approach to generate new ideas and solve problems through a willingness to look at things in a different way. It is not a creative problem-solving method with explicit step, but it is a behavioral approach, the mindset approach concerned with changing concepts, patterns, and also perceptions. The philosophical approach of lateral thinking is supported with unconventional technique that's been used to attack problems, generate new ideas, challenge existing patterns, build on concepts, seek alternative solutions, and so on. These methods set us to perform and accomplish tasks in a certain behavioral method and manner. The informal definition of lateral thinking is you cannot dig a hole in a different place by digging the same hole deeper. What is meant by this is trying harder to realize a solution in the same direction may not be as useful as changing direction. As you can see from the image below, the vertical thinking is concerned with the truth and what apa yang benar dan apakah itu, betul tak itu, it it abides by the rule, it use rules. So it is selective, it is in the individual move forward by taking sequential steps. But if you look at the right image, which is lateral thinking, is concerned with possibilities and what might be. So the individual establish new directions and perception. It is generative, as you can see from the image. It doesn't use the pathway inside. It use the outside pathway. It ignores the rules. So now Tasha will explain about the lateral thinking technique. That's all.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day I bid to everyone. My name is Natasha Laili and I am going to continue the second part of lateral thinking. So what is lateral thinking philosophy? Lateral thinking philosophy states that the brain is not designed to be creative because its natural process is to form patterns and to use them accordingly. Without these patterns, life would be impossible because the simplest of tasks would be incredibly time-consuming. For your information, experience and knowledge allow us to form deeply entrenched patterns that provide us with perception. The results of creativity and insight is when we consciously and deliberately cut across patterns in hopes of attaining a different perspective from our current reality. So in order to understand the lateral thinking philosophy, first you must understand each lateral thinking technique. The first technique would be creative pause. Creative pause is an interruption in the smooth flow of any routine in order to once again pay deliberate attention. This pause is not in reaction to anything and you simply pause in your thinking solely because you want to and not because of legitimate reasons. Creative pause works off the notion that creativity is one of the occasions where thinking slowly is an advantage and an investment. For example, halting the smooth flow of thought for 20 to 30 seconds may spark alternatives and gives attention to something that may be useful later. The second technique would be focus. Focus contends that powerful results can be obtained by focusing on matters that everyone else has ignored. One does not generate ideas with focus, yet should be willing to note a point as a potential focus for creative effort. Once a focus has been defined, it can then be treated as a real problem. Focus helps pick out and define a creative focus as a general area type focus, which is known as a broad focus, or a purpose type focus, which looks at narrowing down the focus. This technique encourages looking at multiple focuses and alternative definition to those focuses. The third technique would be challenge. Challenge is one of the most fundamental techniques because it persuades individuals to refuse to accept things as they are, or that the current way is necessarily the best way. Challenge is not a criticism, rather, challenge looks like to challenge uniqueness. Challenge set out to seek alternative ways of doing something by blocking the current path, escaping the current path, or completely dropping and moving away from the current path altogether. This technique also challenges continuity, where something is done in a certain way because it was done that way in the past. The next technique would be alternatives. This technique involves the willingness to seek out alternatives even though the next step seems to be logical and available. Alternative pushes an individual to stop to look for alternatives regardless of what may already be present. This technique also shows how to extract the concept behind a group of alternatives and then use it to generate more alternatives. The next technique would be concept fan. Concept fan is a method for finding different ways of doing things by understanding the concept. This technique allows you to analyze a situation and work backwards from the objective to the broad concepts, or directions that we would have to take to get there. From directions, we continue to work backwards to concept and then to the original idea. This technique allows you to uncover and understand that many layers that go into a final solution or idea and analyze them one at a time. This technique helps individuals become conscious of different levels of abstraction, from the broadest conceptual levels down to specific ideas. The next technique would be concept. Concept teaches how to work at a conceptual level in order to breed further ideas. This technique contends that it is important to pull back from any idea to discover the concept behind that idea. Once the concept is extracted, work can be done to strengthen the concept, change the concept, or find better ideas with which to put the concept into action. Next technique would be provocation. Provocation provokes us to look at things as not as they are, but as what they might be. Provocation contends that we must change our perception in order to change directions and seek alternative solutions and questions like what if, supposedly, and what would happen. There are several sources of provocation that allow this technique to operate. There are escape provocations, which allow an individual the opportunity to simply do without the point or idea in question. There are also the four stepping stone provocations, known as reversal, exaggeration, distortion, and wishful thinking. The next technique would be movement. Movement allows us to move an idea forward regardless of whether or not it may seem to be of value or have potential. Movement is not concerned with judging, rather it seeks to extract possible principles, concepts, or features from an idea and experiment with different approaches to an idea to seek out multiple possibilities. Movement encourages visualizing with an idea from moment to moment to see what may happen. Movement also uncovers positive aspects of an idea and identifies under what circumstances an idea may be of value. The next technique would be random entry, the stratel, and the filament technique. These three techniques are all work off of the same principle. Random entry is used to generate new ideas using unrelated words, objects, or pictures. The operative word is random, meaning the input of information or materials utilized to stimulate the thought is random and not chosen. The stratel is similar to the random entry but less provocative. A stratel is a number of unconnected statements put together solely to sensitize the mind so that new ideas come forward. These statements are unconnected into each other, yet are connected to the situation at hand. Ideas are spawned from combining these connected thoughts. Finally, the filament technique. The filament technique explicitly or unconsciously picks out items in each stratal to form new ideas. The objective of filament is to combine totally unrelated words from each of the stratals. Many creative thinking practices refer to this technique as a force connection. The next technique would be fractionation. Fractionation seeks to provide a complete or true breakdown of a situation into component parts and then reassemble them all together again. After fractionation comes the Y technique. The Y technique is also known as the ladder of abstraction. The Y technique challenges assumptions, and its purpose is to elicit information at both broad and narrow levels of focus. This technique functions through a continuous questioning of why until enough information has been elicited. The next technique would be brainstorming and analogies. Dr. De Bono also suggests a group brainstorming for idea generation and the use of analogies for pattern reconstruction and problem definition. The second last technique would be harvesting and treatment of ideas. Harvesting captures your creative output by helping to organize ideas and concepts into certain categories through the use of a checklist. This checklist can be divided into many categories. For example, specific ideas, for instance ideas, seedling ideas, direct concept, pullback concept, directions, needs, new focuses, changes, and also flavor. The harvesting procedure is not just a hindsight recording, but should be a consciously monitored activity throughout any session. Treatment of ideas shows how to develop ideas and shape them to fit an organization or a situation. The last but not least technique would be evaluation. Dr. De Bono suggests that we use N categories during the evaluation process. This is to ensure that we organize all alternatives. Categories may include usable ideas, good idea but not for us, good idea but not now, which is known as the back burner, ideas that needs more work, ideas that is powerful but not usable, interesting ideas but not usable, ideas that gives weak value, and also unworkable ideas. Major consideration that might be used to evaluate an idea might be benefits, feasibility, resources, and fit. The final evaluation tools include point system, direct comparison, hindsight logic, emotions, and circumstance to help smoothen and manage the decision-making process.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Farah Zulaiha. I'm going to present about Quad 1. Quad 1 encourages people to broaden their thinking. This Quad 1 consists of 10 thinking tools, which are PMI, plus minus interesting, CAF, consider all factors, rules, CNS, consequence and sequel, AGO, aims, goal and objectives, planning, FIP, first important priorities, APC, alternative possibilities and choices, decisions, and OPV, which is other people view. The first Quad 1 thinking tools, PMI plus minus interesting. These tools deliberate examination of an idea for good, bad, or interesting points instead of immediate acceptance or rejection. PMI can be used as a way of treating ideas, suggestions, and proposals. It can be done by plus the good things about an idea, minus the bad things of the idea, and lastly, interest the interesting about an idea. The second tool is Consider All Factors, CAF. It is looking as widely as possible at all factors involved in a situation instead of only the immediate ones. In order to make a choice or a decision, many factors that need to be identified and considered. If some of the factors are left out, the decision may seem right at the time, but it will turn out to be wrong.
Hi, my name is Azmira and I'm going to continue the next Code 1 thinking tools, which is rules. When developing a new rules or checking existing rules, it's helpful to do a CAF or a PMI on the situation first. In general, the purpose of a rule is to make life easier and better for the majority of people. Some rules are made to prevent confusion. For example, the rules that cars going in the same direction must drive on the same side of the road. Next one, some rules are made to be enjoyed. For example, the rules of hockey make the game of hockey more enjoyable. Some rules are made by organizations for their own members. For example, soldiers must wear uniforms when on duty as a signal that they are on the job and ready to perform. Next one, some rules are made to keep people safe. For example, rule that you must not drink and drive.
The next tool is Consequent and Sequent, CNS. This tool is where immediate, short, medium, and long-term consequences are being considered. A new invention, a plan, a rule, or a decision all have consequences that go on for a long time. In thinking about an action, the consequence should always be considered. Proceed to the next tools, aims, goals, objectives, AGO. These tools is where picking out and defining objective is being done, being clear about one's own aims and understanding those of others. It can help our thinking if the objective is clear, and it also can help us to understand other people's thinking if we are able to see their objectives. Planning is also one of the Code 1 thinking tools. It is the basic features and process involved drawing together the previous two lessons. Planning is the process of thinking about the activities required to achieve a desired goal.
The next Code 1 thinking tools is FIP, first important priority. Some things are more important than the others. Some factors are more important than the others. Some people are more important than the other. After thinking thoroughly, a decision has to be made to prioritize the most important thing among the others. Our schedule and to-do list activities should be arranged from the most important to the least one. Doing FIP will also help you to narrow down long lists of things that need to be done. Next is APC, Alternative Possibilities Choices. With creativity, there is always more than one possibility. When you have to make a decision or to take an action, you might thought that you know all the choices available. So it's important to take a step back and think for a while. In this way, you'll find new choices that you hadn't thought at first. For an example, imagine a car is found in an accident with another car. Explain what could have happened. What are the possibilities? The possibilities are the driver had a heart attack while driving, or the car had a flat tire which caused the driver to lose control, or maybe the driver was drunk and lost control of the car, or the driver was driving too fast around a tight curve on the road, or maybe the driver fell asleep on the way home from a party. See, from here we can find that there's a lot of possibilities that may happen as a result of an action. So what can we learn here is you may always find that there are possible explanations of an event or decision that you had not thought of. Decisions. We make decisions all the time. What clothes to wear, which music to hear, whether to go out or not, which career to choose, where to have dinner, or whether to sleep or go to class. Decisions require thorough and clear thinking to be effective. For an example, in thinking through decisions, these core tools are helpful. You don't have to use all of these tools for each decision. Some decisions require more thinking than the other. Let me give you a situation. As soon as you woke up, you are trying to decide whether you want to clean your house now or later in the evening. Let's say you consider core thinking tools AGO, CAF, APC, and FIP. For AGO, the aim of the cleaning is to make sure your house looks tidier and give you peace of mind. For CAF, you need to consider to clean your house after your cat had their poops in their litter box so that you can clean all at once, or to consider other factors too. For APC, the alternative is to clean your house later in the evening to ensure all the messy that had been done during the day is cleaned at once. For FIP, you might want to consider other important things you have to do during the day, such as you had online class in the morning, and if you do your house chore, you will miss your online class, which is more important, and had to consider cleaning your house later after the class. The last point is OPV, other people's view. It's a very important part of thinking to be able to see the different points of view of other people, not just your own. Other people may consider different factors, see different consequences, have different objectives or priorities, be aware of different rules, or think of more possibilities. OPV helps us to broaden our overall thinking about the situation so that our decisions and plans are better and our solutions are stronger. Okay, let me give you a situation from the current pandemic. KKM prohibited local students stranded in the university from returning home during Movement Control Order (MCO) due to COVID-19 global pandemic. There's two point of view here. The first one is student point of view and the second one is KKM's point of view. The students want to go back to their parents. No entertainment in college room can cause mental health problem if this situation is prolonged and there's no companion. From KKM's point of view, mass movement around 80,000 students will occur and may affect the community around them. MCO is really important to flatten the curve. This action of allowing the students to go back home may cause failure to all government initiatives. The last one is government has spent millions of ringgit to provide free food to college students. This shows that no one is left behind. If they want to save their money, they will just allow students to go back home, but this order is made for mission safety.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shakir. So today I will be talking about Seeds Taking Head by Dr. Edward de Bono. So basically there are two ways of thinking, which traditional we know it as a traditional approach, which is argument or adversarial thinking, and also the parallel thinking. For the argument thinking, basically the both person want to prove that the other side is wrong, but then it will lack of constructive and creative or design element in this way of thinking, which seek to prove he or her idea is much more better. But then for the parallel thinking, at any moment everyone is looking in the same direction, which is everyone have the same goal and same objective, which they are much more cooperative, coordinate, and also constructive thinking in their way to solve the problem or to gain something. And what is the advantage of the parallel thinking? So the first one is which is the unbundled, constructive, and creative thinking. And then it also provides switching modes of the way of the thinking, and it is much more cooperative exploration, and it also separate ego and the performance in the way we give the idea, and it will increase the awareness of everything on what we say and what we give to the other person. So basically, the six thinking head is take the parallel thinking as their reference to make this way of thinking much more creative and much more reliable. And for the first one, which the white one is the person that wear the white hat will talk about the facts as their reference, and for the red, they will give the idea that they give is all from their emotion, and for the black hat, uh, the idea is all about the negative logic on what the conserv- cons- conversation is all about. And for the yellow hat, the yellow hat wearer is a positive thinking person, and for the green hat, it give the person to be more creative on the idea, and the blue hat, they will control all the conversation in the group, which control all the six head. And how to apply head in thinking? So there are six different head that you can put on or take off. Think of the head as a ticking icon. Each head has a different color and represent a different type or mode of thinking. In a group, when all wear the same head, they have same type of thinking at the same time. But then when the heads change, their thinking also will be changed. So first one is the white hat, which talk about facts and data. So first is intuition, emotion, feelings, and hunch. For the red hat, uh, they will talk from their feeling, which are more about data, facts, neutral, and objective. And for the yellow hat, they will give more the benefit to the group, which hopeful, effective, optimistic, and constructive. And for the black hat, they much more serious in the idea and the conversation, and also be careful, conscious, and lay out risks.
So hello everyone, my name is Bailey, and from this point onward, I will be narrating the slide. So what is the green hat? The green hat represents the new ideas and possibilities in one perspective. So it involves creative possibilities, new ideas and concepts, and alternatives. While the blue hat, it signifies the planning and control, where it control organization, set the focus, and use of all the hats. So basically the blue hat is on top of them. On the next slide, we'll be talking about the hats ranking. In the highest rank, the first rank among the hat is the blue hat, which represent the control. The second place is represented by the green hat, which represent creative. The third one is yellow, which represent positive thinking. The fourth is white, which represent facts. The black, which represent by negative logic, and the lowest one, red, which represent emotion. Higher ranking of hat will provide more success and also self-development, and it's also vice versa to the low one. So based on this presentation, you can basically grab what is Six Thinking Hat. So what is Six Thinking Hats? Six Thinking Hats is a simple thinking methodology developed by Dr. Edward de Bono, a leading international authority in conceptual and creative thinking. Dr. de Bono was the first to suggest that thinking is a deliberate act, and that by applying 6 different thinking hats or styles of thinking to a subject, we can maximize the power of our thinking manifold. Here are one of the simple example of how we can implement the 6 thinking hat. This example only involves 8 steps. Step 1. We invite all the participants and set a time limit for the session. For step 2, we assemble the group and introduce members if need. Here we can get creative to do this ice-breaking session. The third step, we discuss the rules and time limit per participant. The fourth step is the leader starts. by using the white hat on all of the hats. He or she or the appointed leader will present the facts surrounding the decision. The step 5, we allow each member to wear the green hat and generate alternatives for the decision. Moving on to the 6th step, we allow each member to take both the yellow hat and then the black hat on one turn. Have them evaluate the benefits for the alternative using yellow and the drawbacks using black. Step 7, we allow each member to don the red hat and record their emotions about the alternatives. And the last step is, the leader concludes by explaining each member will don the blue hat and summarize the thoughts on the decision. The members will likely express the choice in the matter. The chairman wears the hat last and states his or her opinion and wraps up all the session.